rolling? We're good. All right. Well, we're finally here with the legendary Nate Boyer. How fun was Saturday, dude?
Dude, it was great, man.
God,
I had a great time.
So much fun. That was like the most fun I've had in a long time.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't that fun.
Oh, dude. I mean, just meeting all new people, and it was such a great event for such a great cause, and I'd never known about it until then. So we'll jump into that, but to kind of transition into that, I mean, most people watching are Austin-based. They might be familiar with you, but if they're not, kind of a quick background. So you were initially military and then transitioned into football. So I'll butcher that if I try to explain it. So kind of give people a quick, brief background on, going from, where you are at military-wise into the football.
Yeah. Well, I grew up in the San Francisco Bay. I'm not a Texan. I'm now a Texan, but I wasn't a Texan. I was born in Tennessee, grew up in the San Francisco Bay. After high school, I moved down to San Diego and Los Angeles for a little bit. Then I joined the Army, a couple years after 9/11, and was in the Special Forces for about 10 years. And did 6 years active duty, the last 4 in the National Guard. When I moved out to Austin to go to UT, and then walked onto the football team. I'd never played football in my entire life, but it was always my favorite sport, to watch. And I just had this weird regret of not playing as a kid, and just really wanted to. So started training. I was over in Iraq. I started training for football, in 2009. Came back in 2010 and came down here to Texas, and then played on the team for 4 years. Started the last 3. I was there as a long snapper, and then had an opportunity in Seattle with the Seahawks in 2015. So I was up there in Seattle then, and then I got cut. Went from military, like that was my life for, roughly 10 years. Then football was my life for like 5 years, and then all of a sudden I had neither of those things.
Yeah. And then that's how that quickly, which I think branches perfectly into what MVP is. So merging vets and pros. That was one of the first things I really wanted to touch base on, because at the event Saturday, I had no idea what it was. And then watching the video that you showed us, I could not relate more to it. And one of the things that I thought was really important about it was how you bring people together that might suffer from kind of either an identity crisis or the transition from dedicating their whole life to something to not having that camaraderie anymore. So what exactly, is MVP?
Yeah, MVP stands for Merging Vets and Players. We bring together combat vets and former professional athletes, help them find purpose, identity, the locker room again when the uniform comes off. Both those careers end pretty young. You're in your 20s, 30s if you're lucky, and you feel like you'll never be great again. The average NFL career, for instance, is 3 years. The average person that joins the military typically joins for about 4 years. So that's a short timeline, and you're part of something very elite, and you have that mission and the team and the connection to something greater than yourself, and then it's oftentimes not on your own terms. Usually it's not on your own terms in sports anyway. And it's just over, and you lose the locker room and the team, and that camaraderie and that, that sense of identity and purpose that comes with the uniform. So battlefield, ball field, camouflage, or jersey, yeah, those things are different. But that locker room is very similar. And that loneliness when you lose the locker room is also very similar.
Were there a lot of similarities between, when you were military and then being in the UT locker room as well?
Totally. I mean, there's definitely differences, but no, there's a lot of similarities. I mean, when you go through something challenging with people, whether it be physical in nature or mental or whatever, and something that's exhausting, and you all kind of get through it together, and you develop that respect for the people, across the locker room for you that also didn't quit today. Yeah. You just get, you become close with those people, and then you're working towards, winning as a team. And that's the same in the military. So like those things are similar. So yeah, that type of stuff, that locker room experience is very similar.
Yeah, and it's important too. You know, my brother is military, and then I played actually junior college ball, which that was something I was telling you about where the stories were similar. So you actually had played a role, believe it or not, in keeping me motivated long before we met. So I rode the bench in high school for football, but like I was good. It's just we had a really, really good high school team, and it was one of those things very similar to what you said, where I wanted to play and I didn't want to like live in regret. I didn't want the years to pass and be like, man, I wish I would have done that.
Right.
So I initially tried to walk on at Boise State, and they were like, dude, they were like top 5 at the time. And so they had recommended a junior college. And at the time I was 21. And back then that felt like I was way too old. Like I had aged out, which looking back now, yeah, I'm like, I was perfect. So, so I was training, and I just all the time I was losing motivation. And my friends, you know, I was telling them like, man, I just don't think I think my time's past, this and that. And then they go, dude, there's this guy at UT, like he's 30, like he's playing, and you know, he did this whole thing, like he never played before at all. And that always kind of kept me motivated, because it is important to have like, you know, a shared experience in a sense, where if you feel like you're alone, it's really hard to stay motivated. But when you see other people going through similar challenges, then you're a lot more likely to complete it. And that was something that I thought was kind of cool. And now here we are hanging out.
I mean, that's what got me through special forces training, is just knowing that, yeah, this is challenging and the odds are against everybody that you're going to make it through something like this. But at the same time, thousands have done it before.
Yeah.
You know, and what they all share in common is that they didn't quit. They just kept going and they kept trying. And sometimes even when you don't quit, that doesn't ensure victory. You know, sometimes you still ultimately fail or whatever, but it doesn't feel like the same type of failure as if you were to quit. You know, it's just different. It's as long as you do everything in your control to be successful, and you just I don't know. You just focus on that. Like what there's so many things that are out of our control in this world.
Oh yeah.
We try to, you know, that we worry about and whatever, and it doesn't help you. So you just do what you can, and you just keep doing it. And typically, a positive result will come. It might not be what you intended or expected going into it, but you know, it's that's the secret to life, I think, in so many ways.
For me,
not giving up.
What I gathered from my experience was I learned so much, because the cool thing about, and I'm sure it's relative in the military as well, is you're now grouped with a group of people from so many different walks of life, different backgrounds, things like that. And when you share that common, you know, struggle, whether it's working out, whether it's, you know, training or combat or something like that, you know, you learn so much about one another, and then you learn so much about, you learn to compromise as well. That was one of the big things. You know, here I am, this dorky white dude from Idaho, now on a team in California. I was in Chico, and then I was in Sacramento. And, you know, I was with all these guys that were completely different, that I think outside of football, I probably never would have been friends with them. And now I still talk to them to this day. And, you know, we overcame so much, and we'd gone through so much, and it was such an important thing. And then, you know, kind of coming back to MVP, it was such a weird transition out of that. And so watching like the video of everyone coming together was really cool. And so what's kind of like how did you get involved in MVP? Or were you like a founder of it? You were a founder of it?
Yeah, I co-founded it with Jay Glazer.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, we founded it back in end of 2015. And we started working with a lot of the vets and athletes training out of the gym in roughly, I think, April of 2016. So it's about 6 years old. You know, I trained at Jay's gym. It's called Unbreakable Performance Center in Hollywood, West Hollywood, and trained there when I was preparing for that opportunity in the NFL. Got to know Jay really well. He helped me get that shot up in Seattle. And then when I came back afterwards, I didn't know what I was going to do next. You know, after football was over, I was thinking about going back in the military. Like, I just wasn't sure. And Jay Jay said, hey, like, let's do something for guys that are in the situation you're in right now, like sitting in, walking in your shoes in that position. Like what, let's figure something out so that the cycle doesn't continue, and so that's how MVP started. It was like, he just said, like, let's walk this walk together, man. Mm-hmm. And yeah, so we just opened the charity up then and started working with vets and athletes. And I'd met some guys that were actually living in a homeless shelter in East Hollywood, I should say, on Sunset Boulevard, different part of Sunset. And yeah, they started coming up to the gym, and then Jay brought some athletes in, including like Randy Couture and Tony Gonzalez. And,
oh yeah.
To hear those guys talk about their struggle with losing the uniform and feeling like they don't belong anymore, that was kind of eye-opening for a lot of these vets. And yeah, that bond sort of began there.
Yeah, it's pretty astounding to me how just, there's still just not enough, at least from my point of view, just resources and things going into veteran care. Today's episode is brought to you by ReGen Health and Wellness. The team at ReGen Health and Wellness is devoted to helping patients revitalize, repair, and renew the optimal blueprint of yourself. They provide an individualized and concierge model of healthcare, empowering patients to optimize their health span and overall quality of life. It's said no one can escape father time, but almost everyone can make the conscious decision and commit to living better and healthier lives. It begins with a mindset. They offer both in-clinic and telemedicine consultations. So whether you're due for a routine checkup or struggling to hit your health and fitness goals, go online or give them a call to schedule your appointment today. I just watching that video Saturday too with Jay saying that the veteran suicide rate is 22 a day.
Yeah, roughly. I mean, it changes year to year, but it's roughly around. I think it's still around 20 a day.
That's just too much, and I mean, even one is too much. And it's pretty amazing to me that there's still just not enough resources. And so,
I think there is. It's just they're not the right resources.
Yeah.
And everybody relates to different things. Some people, MVP is not for everybody.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people out there that it's just not for them. They want other stuff, but for those that it does work for, it works really well. And I think, there's maybe too many resources, too many options. It's confusing. And a lot of it, to me anyway, is not authentic. It just feels kind of corny.
Yeah.
And like, that's not going to work with me. I'm like a highly motivated person, but I also need like, type of people I want to be around are not very PC. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just like, I'm not going to relate to something that's just too sensitive in some ways.
Well, it's very restrictive too, that ideology. It's the whole piece. So I lived in Tacoma before I lived here, and it was like that. I felt like I was on eggshells all the time. And what people don't seem to like understand is like that PC concept is it like gets you, it riddles my like anxiety, because I feel like is just any moment someone's going to like blow up on me. And so when you take someone that's struggling with something like PTSD or anything and you put them in that environment, I can't even imagine like, that's the worst type of concept to be around. And I think that it's about really just, challenging is just human nature. Like you want to be challenged, you want to overcome, you want to win. We're very, what do you call it? Like, as individuals, we like to, face adversity and overcome it. And so when you take those things away, you can feel hopeless. That's how I felt during COVID. I felt like I had no purpose, being locked down. I was just going stir crazy. So it, what's kind of the long-term plan then with MVP? Do you have like, I know you were doing something with F45 as well.
With MVP, we want to, we just want to be everywhere, and that takes time and money and resources and people. But we're growing it. We've been opening about 2 or 3 chapters a year. Austin potentially could be our 10th. We just opened our 8th in Phoenix. We're going to open in Pittsburgh next. But then Austin, Tampa, Nashville, there's a lot of spots that make a lot of sense for us to go next, and we'll see. But with F45, yeah, I'm partnering up with F45, and I'm gonna open a gym here in Austin, starting out, and some other markets around the country, I believe. And we kind of want to make it like an MVP gym. I mean, it's an F45, of course,
like a hybrid.
Yeah, we just want to have the opportunity to hold MVP there every week, and let everybody know, hey, this gym's veteran owned, and we're going to encourage and have a lot of athletes and vets that train there as well. But we want to integrate everybody. It's not like just for us. It's like that's one of the things that I think we still struggle with in this country is reacclimating, and it's veterans. It's the fault of the veteran too. A lot of times they just want to no civilians are going to relate to me, so I don't want to be around that. And it's it's not healthy. It's not good. It's not going to help us move forward. So that's the opposite of what I want to do. I just want to build that bridge and get everybody together, because at the end of the day, we have so much more in common than we have that's different. And people struggle. Everybody has shit. You know what I mean? We all have got things that we got to work through, and you can let the stench overwhelm you, or you can turn it into fertilizer and do something with it. And that's just the human experience. So, that's what I'm hoping to do with F45 and MVP. Because the F45 team's very committed to it. They're opening up a program called the Afters Program, which stands for Armed Forces to Entrepreneur, and they're encouraging and they have a gateway, an opportunity for vets who qualify and that want to do this, are motivated to get into franchise ownership of F45 studios with very little cost up front to the veteran. So it's an opportunity. Like I said, you got to be committed. You got to be serious about it. You got to be the right person. It's not going to be for everybody, but there's a lot of barriers around something like that, whether they be financial or whatever, that F45 is trying to navigate. And that's a pretty unique thing. As far as I know, there's no program like that, at least in the fitness industry at large, with a big franchise such as F45.
They're booming right now. Yeah, I'm seeing them everywhere, and people are so happy with them too. I was just talking to actually Mark yesterday about that. And
Mark Wahlberg?
Yeah, right.
He's the face of it.
I know. No, Mark, the CEO of Avatar Nutrition.
Okay.
And you met him Saturday. And we were talking about how one of the things that stands out about F45 is not just their workout program, but the staff. Everyone seems so happy. They take care of their staff, the members. They've done a great job building a culture and a community. And so I think those are really important aspects, especially if they're, forming some sort of collaboration or merging with MVP. That's
one of the things we encourage at MVP when you come to the gym. So people from the veteran and athlete community, when they were serving or when they were playing, most of them were in, the best shape of their lives. And that's not necessarily the case afterwards. So we got a lot of vets and athletes that come in MVP that are a bit out of shape, whether that's from injuries or just, man, I wanted to get away from having to get up at 6 every day and go through this routine. So they just stopped training, So now we got people come back through our doors for an MVP session, and it's challenging. We work out for about 45 minutes in MVP, just like at F45, and you get that sweat going. But the thing about it is, with that community and that culture, there'll be people that are in really, really good shape still. And then there are people that are, maybe a little overweight or banged up or just out of shape. And there's no judgment, but also we're still pushing one another. And there's no better feeling than the person next to you that was struggling, and they got through that workout because you were with them. You know what I mean? And they felt your energy, and you weren't giving up, so they weren't going to give up. And then they start to build that confidence. 3 months later, 6 months later, whatever it is, they turn into that coach. You know what I mean? Yep. And sometimes a coach doesn't have to say anything. You just have to walk along next to somebody, or train along next to somebody to provide that motivation. It doesn't. There's no magic beans or a certain word or phrase that just fixes somebody's mindset. It's the consistency and being there. And like when you got people with you, around you and you don't feel alone, like you're going to get through it. So that's like the power of group fitness. And that's sort of the power of, of MVP and F45. Like that's what we're trying to promote and foster together. And so we are very much aligned with our narrative and messaging and like what's important to us.
No, and it's, I love that because that's kind of what, it coincides with what I have here with Austin Fitness Community is, intimidation can play a major factor, and intimidation comes in different factors as well. It's not just someone going into like a hardcore barbell gym and being like, oh, I'm not, this is not my vibe. It's going in there intimidated that they're not gonna be able to perform up to the standard. So when they can go into a place and feel comfortable, they're a lot more likely to start trying harder and then being more consistent. And those are the really important aspects in, the life-changing aspects of fitness. And so I think that I've noticed that a lot because I've done a lot of work in the veteran community, and I've noticed that is they, and I can speak from experience where when I was playing football, I was in the best shape of my life. Like I could party and then go to playing a game the next day and be fine. But when football ended, that motivation was gone. I had no reason to train. Today's episode is brought to you by Avatar Nutrition. It is always a treat to show some love to our sponsor, Avatar Nutrition. Avatar is actually owned by my friend Mark, who is a lifting buddy of mine from the gym. What I didn't realize at the time is that his app has been used by close to 200,000 people, and they've used it to lose over 2.5 million pounds of pure body fat. What's really special about Avatar is that it's a complete service delivered through a super easy-to-use app. See, Avatar is the OG in the macros game and created a process that makes counting macros both fun and simple to stick to long-term. You've got unlimited support from their community and experts on staff, and they are in the business of giving their clients results that last. Try it free on the App Store or Google Play Store for 2 weeks, and if you love it as much as I do, it's just $9.99 a month after that, or $97.99 for the annual rate if you want even more of a discount. If you're a coach, trainer, or you own any kind of business and want to use Avatar to facilitate game-changing nutrition coverage for your people, Avatar is a program for groups too. Just contact them through their website to learn more at www.avatarnutrition.com. And then the partying never stopped. And so when it was time to start getting back in shape, I was so discouraged. I had no motivation. I didn't really have a purpose of what I was working towards. And then when I started training around people that were like-minded, I started to find that motivation. And it was really about just doing it for myself. I didn't need a purpose. I just felt good. And that I've noticed that with, companies like F45 and then just group training in general. And that's what I'm trying to do with what I have here is kind of create a community environment where it's just merging different, demographics together and kind of just creating one solid community where people don't feel like they have to fit a certain mold, and it's kind of off topic, but it's like the fitness industry has become so materialistic and over sexualized. And it's like I was telling you, like any guy enjoys a good thirst trap, but I don't think that should represent health and wellness because of what the aspects of that can discourage individuals from, even trying or stepping foot into a gym. And so, no, I really do appreciate what you're doing, and I'm all in. Like whatever you need, you already know me. I'm trying to help as much as I can, and so
I appreciate it. Yeah,
no, it's really cool, and we'll make sure to help out. We'll put the links and stuff in the bios and everything. But
yeah, a lot of that too will be when we come out here. We'll be building that team. You know what I mean, with the right people, because we don't want to just open one location. No. We want to be all over the city, and there already is a good amount of F45s along here. And that's the other thing too that's important for people to understand is like with what I'm bringing in and what I'm going to be building out here with the MVP team and F45, that the idea is to also build up the existing F45s and the ones that need help, or that maybe are looking for a slight change in the way that their culture is developed. Like we want to do that together. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, it's a team effort. Like I'm not just saying that in a corny way. Yeah. Like it really is. And then beyond that, like with these other brands, other gyms, like, dude, it's a win if we're all healthier.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we're all motivated. And I mean like healthier, like mentally,
Yeah.
emotionally. Yeah. We believe in ourselves and we push ourselves. Like, so that's going to extend everywhere because it's like, just like I said with MVP, F45 is not going to be for everybody. That's okay. But like what's most important is like the culture that we're fostering and like the imprint we're making on the community, people we're impacting. And then I want people that walk through our doors and any gym door, like when they leave there, that same mentality they had coming into the gym as far as like, I'm going to attack this workout. I'm not going to let it defeat me. I'm going to do it. You know, I hope to get pushed a little bit, you know, and I want to get to that almost my breaking point maybe.
Yeah.
And then, you know, push through it.
Yep.
And not let it defeat me. And then I walk out those doors and I go, whether it's with my family or my job or, you know, stranger on the street, like I want to be the same type of person, the same type of mentality. It's just going to make you, I think, happier and, you know, more confident and a better citizen.
Well, it's amazing what those little wins can do. I mean, just a little win can really just light the fuse for little things. I mean, it's like I was telling you the other day, you know, Saturday was like a huge just meeting all those great people and networking and all that. Like that was a big win for me personally because like things had just gotten so dicey and I just started really getting discouraged and losing it. And then after that, I just felt reinvigorated. Like I was so excited to kick this week off and just all the things coming up, like, you know, and that right there makes the whole difference. And so just having someone go into an atmosphere like that can make a whole difference. Just a little win like that.
That's what happens weekly at MVP.
Yeah.
Because I mean, what we do every week in all of our chapters, we meet up in the gym, we train for about 45 minutes, and then we hang out for about another 45 minutes on the wrestling mat. And it's peer-to-peer coaching. You know, we encourage vulnerability and we talk through heavy stuff. And sometimes it's good stuff too. We want to share wins, like all that stuff, but it's a place you can come with like-minded individuals. Some of them you may know very well. Some of them you may have just met today, but like you respect what they've done as far as their backgrounds and the teams they were a part of. And you walk in there maybe carrying, you know, quite a burden, whether it was something you've been holding on to for 10 years or something that happened 10 minutes ago. And then you just let it out there. You talk through it. You walk out those doors and you're reinvigorated. Like you said, you know, you're refreshed, you're lightened. And you're just ready to get back after it the next day. Yeah.
Yeah. It's, you know, it's great that, you know, you push vulnerability because one of the cool things that I experienced, especially playing ball, was how close I became with my teammates. And these were guys that were like, you know, kind of had that tough guy persona and all that. But we shared so much, like the fight and just the training, that we were able to just be open with each other. Actually, when I was in Sacramento, I had this teammate. His name was Henry and Yenehi. He ended up transferring and played running back for a while at Illinois. But he used to hold like little youth groups in an apartment, and we just be all just circled up in the living room somewhere, and we would just share stuff and talk about things that bothered us and stuff, and it was huge. And that team had won like one game like the 3 or 4 years prior to me getting there, and then we went like 8-2 or something when I was there, and it was pretty cool. And so, do you have any ideas? I might just be spitballing here. Like, is the MVP just gonna be like that HIIT style training, like the group training, or have you even considered like hybrid stuff as well? Like I know the jiu-jitsu scene's blowing up out here, or the strongman powerlifting, things like that. Are you guys open to doing those environments as well, or is it pretty much set?
So with most of our chapters as it is, there is an MMA aspect, typically, not always, but you know, and there's some options with that with F45s as well, which is nice. But beyond that, like, so we do the weekly huddle, you know, that is a weekly thing we do. Beyond that, though, we love to do other stuff out in the community. It doesn't always have to be fitness related. Sometimes it's we're going to ball games together, or, you know, going out to lunch, or what, networking. Sometimes there's other community events that we want to like be a part of. And other times, maybe we want to go, you know, on a run or a hike, or, you know, we got a lot of guys in LA now that are doing more and more jiu-jitsu outside of MVP. You know, they'll go do it together, you know. So all those things, the answer is yes, like all those things, because some of the people that gravitate to MVP, and some of them that I don't want to say necessarily even gravitate, they get dragged there, are in a hole. They often just like, they want to stay home and draw the blinds and like, drink too much or pop pills or just kind of try to forget the past. You know what I mean? And not worry and not think about the future, because that can be depressing too. And it's like, we're exactly the opposite of that mentality. Like, we want to get you out of that space. Let's get outside. Let's go do stuff, especially in this day and age after COVID. Oh, yeah. We're so addicted to these, these little computers right. And like all that stuff. Like, not that those things aren't incredible. Like, there's so much that we can do. I mean, this podcast, most people will see this or hear this on a phone or through a laptop, obviously. So like, there's value in it, but for us to just be hooked on that and not have a conversation like you and I are having right now, where you're in the room, you're like connected with somebody and you're just talking or doing something. Like, that's what we're all about. So there's a bevy of options, and they're endless. And there's going to be new stuff that happens in Austin that we haven't done in any other chapter. So we're always just open to that. The main thing for us is just about the community, and
today's episode is brought to you by CBD Online Xpress. CBD Online Xpress is a fresh, up-and-coming CBD company that strives to offer the highest quality products at an affordable price to help you in your everyday life. They offer a variety of products such as tinctures, edibles, flour, and even their new recreational line, Oxed Up. They also have plans to introduce water and an energy drink later this year. Go to cbdonlineexpress.com and get your products today.
People empowering one another. Doesn't really matter what we're doing. The consistency of the MVP sessions, the huddles we do with the workout, and then the peer-to-peer coaching, that's a weekly thing that we like to maintain. Outside of that, it's an open book. Choose your own adventure.
Yeah, no, I love that. I mean, like I mentioned, man, you got me at a full expense, whatever you need. Like, I'm all in.
I had you at hello.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. It's so funny too. Like, I'm always just putting out feelers, and it's like, no one ever wants to take up the help. And it's kind of like what we were talking about Saturday is like, if I offer help, it's unconditional, unless like I've said like, hey, this is what is going to happen. Like that. And I feel like people just don't do that anymore. And I think that's kind of just the world we live in nowadays, is everyone's afraid to ask for help. Everyone's afraid because there's so many conditions now with people, or they hold it over you, or they almost weaponize it. Like, hey, remember that time I helped you? Like, now you owe me. And it's like, I hate that. And I just don't want to be a part of that problem. And so, no, I would love to help out as much as I can. And I mean, just hanging out with those guys Saturday was so cool. And it was nice to be around, new people that were also like-minded, hustlers and health, wellness enthusiasts, and just all about just growing. No, that was really cool. And so kind of switching gears. So, and going backwards. So when you joined the military and then going into football, what was the training differences like? Kind of focusing on the fitness aspect of things now. Like, was it kind of an easy adjustment, or is there?
No.
I was gonna say, was like the UT training program a little tougher than, or not tougher, but like, what were kind of the differences? I guess
not tougher, but it's completely different sport, quote unquote. I mean, and I weighed about 165 pounds on average when I was a Green Beret, and that was great because you're carrying a lot of weight around beyond your own. 60 pounds of gear, often a rucksack, a weapon, and you're in camouflage and boots and a helmet, a different kind of helmet, and it's hot as heck. Not that it's not hot out here, overseas, and you're, and you got to be able to move, miles at a time, but you're rarely at a sprint. It's not power. It's a different type of training, where it's football. Everything's explosive. It's 4 to 6 seconds is the average play, and for us on a mission, it's like 4 to 6 hours, so it's very different. It's the mentality's got to be the same as far as like the work ethic and not getting complacent, being prepared, fighting for the man on your left and right when you're on a football field and in the military. I always equate that to similar, but the physicality of it is completely different. It's explosive bursts on a football field, everything's kind of a violent movement, you know, and not necessarily violence in the sense of negativity, but even like long snapping a football.
Oh yeah.
Like you have to rip it back there, you know, and you gotta be consistent. You gotta throw a spiral. It's gotta be accurate. Just like if you're shooting a weapon, it's gotta be consistent. It's gotta be accurate. But when I'm shooting a weapon, I'm trying to slow my breathing down as much as I can, calm everything. I want to be still, you know, I want to slowly squeeze the trigger until it surprises me. In football, as soon as I hear that snap count, it's my time to snap it. I just got everything I got, you know what I mean? And so Olympic lifting becomes a lot more common. That being said, a lot of the military strength and conditioning training over the last several years, pretty much since I came off active duty in 2010, since then, they have skewed much more towards a lot of Olympic lifting. They started something called the Thor program in the special operations. It's just a training program that was developed from outside strength and conditioning coaches. They worked with groups like the NSCA and other organizations to develop something that is more functional for the military athlete. You know what I mean? That still maintains a high level of endurance training, because that is something you have to have.
Yeah.
You have to have be able to move those distances if necessary. Because my last deployment in Afghanistan, we're flying in a Chinook, we're getting dropped off 5 miles from our target, and we got to walk, quietly through the night and early morning often to a target house or whatever that is. With a lot of gear on, under night vision, and it's just, it's very different than deploying on a football field.
Yeah,
running
it's
down on a kickoff.
It's just a little better atmosphere too. Yeah, I bet. But yeah, I mean, it's incredible to hear some of the stories of like what a lot of these like special forces guys go through, or like the missions they would go on. Like I was listening to a Marcus Luttrell speech, like he gave a football team, and just hearing like, oh, and we did a 6-mile hike or something through this. I'm like, what? Like I get tired walking down to the gas station for like food, and to imagine like
6-mile hike with a pack full of water, bullets, whatever else, it's radio batteries. Like it's crazy the stuff we got to lug around. And
so football was a breeze then. I bet.
No, it wasn't, because I'm not fast. Like those guys are fast. I don't have that kind of explosiveness. I'm much more built, as you can see, looking at me, to be an endurance athlete. I'm running a 100-mile race in August, and that's something that I'm more equipped to do than to play football. Like I'm not fast at all. I would never, no matter how hard I trained, no matter what I did, I never in a million years would come close to running a 4.40, which you have to do if you're going to play defensive back at that level. So I walked on as a safety, but I couldn't get on the field because I wasn't fast enough, and I never would be, and that's okay. That's why I started long snapping.
That's what I did.
Found a thankless job and a way to get on there and play meaningful snaps, but it's just that's the reality.
Yeah, no, it's long snapping. I had way more fun doing that than I did play, because I played linebacker, and I'd never played linebacker. They asked me, like, they were short at it when I was in Chico, and I went there as actually like a receiver, as a tight end. And they were like, "Oh, have you ever played linebacker?" I've never played linebacker, but I wanted to play, so I was like, "Oh yeah, like love playing that. It's my favorite." And it was quite the adjustment, but yeah, so how the heck did you end up on the Seahawks? Is like my question. Like that.
Well, I started 3 years as the long snapper for the Longhorns, and that's what they signed me as. I signed as a free agent, but I signed as a long snapper. So that's where I got my opportunity. And that's pretty wild. I was hearing one of this, what you were talking about Saturday, which I thought was so cool, that you were like warming up. And
today's episode is brought to you by Hotworx. I want to let you guys know about an incredible new craze going on in the Austin fitness community. It's called Hotworx. Hotworx is a virtually instructed exercise program created for users to experience the many benefits of infrared heat absorption while completing a 30-minute isometric workout or a 15-minute high-intensity interval training session. As the infrared heat penetrates your body, causing you to sweat, the isometric postures further accelerate detoxification by physically removing the toxins from your organs through muscle contraction. Hotworx is virtually instructed, has 24/7 access, and also offers easy-to-use app-based scheduling so you never have to miss a class again. Hotworx has 2 locations to serve, located at the intersection of Anderson Mill Road and FM 620 in the HEB Plus Shopping Center, and also another location in San Marcos. So stop in, tell them Austin Fitness Community sent you, and get a special free session on us, and check out Hotworx today.
We're saying like Peyton Manning's over there throwing, and it's just the whole experience was like I was living vicariously through you during that speech, because like that's kind of what I was going for. But then I had realized that like after my last season, I was like, man, I'm doing this to prove to others that I can do it, not because I wanted to do it after a while. And but while you were there, one of the things I was curious to talk to you about was, it's one of the things I respect about you the most is your ability to compromise, which is what so many people lack nowadays. It's like the whole world has gotten so crazy. They're very tribalistic. It's like one side or the other.
Yeah.
And I remember you'd had a kind of a role in the whole Kaepernick spiel. And I thought it was so cool. And I couldn't understand why everyone was like jumping down your throat. Was when all that stuff was taking place, you were like trying to find ways to compromise and have that conversation. And then it just exploded. But like, what was kind of the whole background behind that whole spiel with him?
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much hit it on the head. I just wanted people to listen to each other, people with a different perspective. I mean, at the end of the day, I respected his right to do what he was doing. Didn't necessarily agree or don't necessarily agree with everything that he says and does, as I'm sure he doesn't feel that way about me. But, I took the oath to defend the Constitution, as did everybody else that joined the military, and that includes the First Amendment, freedom of speech. And I was just about defending that right. At the end of the day, that was the most important thing to me.
Yeah, well, one of the things that kind of I never had thought about that you had said was that the national anthem was more about honoring like the fallen. It had nothing to do with what he was really protesting. I could be mislabeling that, but that you just thought his approach to it was like almost like bad timing.
I didn't know.
No, it was. I was watching a SportsCenter interview, I think is what it was, and you were talking about like the national anthem was like, God, what was it? I know I was butchering it, but you were basically saying like, you everything you just said, like you were defending, you respected his right to freedom of speech and things like that. You just thought it was like not the best time and place for it. Like,
I don't know if I've said that. I think a lot of people feel that way, but I don't think I've said that. I mean, it's a very effective time and place. That's why that's the intent of a protest, is to be uncomfortable, and that's why it blew up like it did, because of when he decided to do it, his choice to do that. Like, I think that's why it was effective. I mean, that's the intent of a protest, to make people uncomfortable. It's not
get people talking.
Yeah, it's not supposed to be something that everybody's like okay with. Otherwise, it's not a protest. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you ever like do you used to get asked about that all the time? Obviously, I am.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah,
all the time, and it's all good. I mean, it's like I put myself out there. I put myself in that position, so, that was my choice. I didn't have to get involved. I didn't have to write that open letter, and I did. And then he reached out to me and wanted to meet, and I could have said no, but I chose to meet with him. So, yeah, good, bad, or indifferent. I mean, like, I haven't really talked to him since then.
Really?
It's been a long time. Yeah. So, but I wouldn't have done anything different. I don't think I would have said the same things. And
how bad did the media twist it up?
I mean,
do you think
that's all the media does? That's what they always do. They just want people to read the paper, and they want corporations to buy advertising spots. So that's the goal.
Yeah, I'm so tired of that.
It's just, I mean, that's why people watch, though. They want the headlines.
Yeah. It seems like that's how people get their news now. Like just memes and headlines and stuff.
It's been like that for a long time now.
It's so bizarre to me. And then now looking at it, like, you think he'll ever play again?
I don't know. I mean,
he's a phenomenal athlete.
He is. It's tough when you haven't played for 6 years, which it is now. I think 5 or 6 years. So, it's a tough one. I mean, he did opt out of his contract. I think he was offered a contract by the Broncos right afterwards. Didn't take it. And then the following year, it was just became tougher and tougher to get that opportunity. And I think at the time he took the Niners to the Super Bowl and then back to the NFC Championship game. So at that time, which is now five or 6 years ago now, since he stopped playing, like when that all happened, that was almost 10 years ago. He was playing at that level. So it's hard to say where he's at now. I mean, you can watch those tapes, of him training and all that. Obviously, he could still throw the ball and move around, but is it the exact same as playing in a game? I don't know. I don't know how you simulate that or how you show that. So it's tough. I mean, I think I'm not sure.
The game evolves so crazy, like every year. Like the athletes are getting insane. It's like every year the combine's like crazier. But we used to have the saying back in college where they were like T-shirt All-Americans. These guys that were phenomenal athletes, but when it was time to step on the field or even learning plays, like it was clueless. But no, what's crazy? I was actually at the first game he ever played in college.
Oh wow!
Yeah, when he stepped in, when he was with Nevada, they played Boise State. I was there. I was just like in the stands. I was still a kid, and it was unbelievable to watch. I mean, that was a 4 overtime game. Like he ran like 290 yards and threw for like 300, and he came in like the second half too. So I knew he was gonna be a star, but now it's just very bizarre to watch. And then seeing how it's gotten even more bizarre, seeing how things have like really moved since then. And yeah, I don't know. I think that time's done though. I think it's, my personal opinion, I think it's more about just attention at this point. And
yeah, I don't know. I mean, he had a workout with the Raiders this year, but I don't think they've signed him.
No. Well, it's at this point, he's a distraction. And it's whether he wants to be or not. Like it's just there's just been so much scrutiny behind everything that you would you'd just be distracting the team, and you have to have, in order to win, like a focused team. Like you can't have, we've seen that just in any team sport where you get one person and it spreads like a virus. That just it can cripple a team. But no, it's yeah, it's definitely interesting. What was that like too? Being, how long were you there at the Seahawks?
Just beginning of 2015.
Really?
Yeah, there's OTAs, training camp in the preseason.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I was wondering what the training differences was like versus Seahawks versus like being at UT.
Very similar.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and that was Pete Carroll's the coach who came from a college background. So I think that team, more than maybe any other, was probably more similar to the college experience.
Yeah. So I have friends that go and they always tell me the same thing. Like getting there is easy. Staying there, like when you come from like a D1 school with those big rounds, but staying there is like the hardest thing in the world because it's a business. They don't owe you anything.
Exactly. No, it is. It is. I mean, like Pete was all about competition and the locker room and, the Legion of Boom. They also said, love our brothers is our LOB stands for that as well.
Cool.
So like, it was very tight knit, and at the time I was there, I mean, that was the most stacked team.
Oh God, that defense.
They had Marshawn Lynch, Russell Wilson, Jimmy Graham, Doug Baldwin, Tyler Lockett. And that's just on offense, and then on defense, they got Michael Bennett and they got Bobby Wagner and Cam Chancellor, Earl Thomas, Richard Sherman. Like it's an incredible team.
Yeah. It's just those guys that I just remember that year that they were like, it was unbelievable to watch them. They were just smashing teams. And, but I haven't really watched the NFL lately. It's just, I feel like sports have gotten so political. Everything is now. And it's just draining. Like at this point, I just want to like go to movies or go to sports and just escape that. And everywhere I go, it's like being shoved in my face and it's draining. And I think it kind of comes full circle with what we're talking about with like MVP and stuff is, when you are mentally drained like that, that can have a significant impact on your life and the decisions you make. And I think that's why people are going so crazy now is there's just so much information just being constantly shoved in, like you said, on the phones and stuff. And social media plays a role in that. You see everyone puts this perspective that they're so happy, but, probably just living the same life as you. And it's draining, but I think people will wake up. I think you can only fake those things for so long. I could just be optimistic. If you haven't noticed, I'm a pretty optimistic person. Yeah. I try to stay positive. But so you say you're doing a 100-mile race?
Yeah.
Where's that at?
Leadville, Colorado.
Oh, nice. What made you want to do that?
See if I could do it, man.
Really?
Yeah. No, I mean, it's appealing. It's like, I love the challenge of that. And I ran my first official marathon in February. And then in March, I ran a 50K back in Griffith Park in LA. And then I started just like, well, I'm going to maintain the training up and, see if I can do it.
Yeah. Well, I'll have to connect you. Do you know who Zach Bitter is?
I do not.
So Zach Bitter is like an ultra marathon, like world record holder champion. Wow. He held I think he did, 100 miles in like 11 hours or something. Oh, but he lives out here now.
Okay, cool.
And so he just moved out here. Yeah, I'll absolutely introduce you. He was actually the very first guest I had on the show.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, great guy. And he's so smart. He has his own show. You go, he does Zoom and in person. So
cool.
Yeah.
Today's episode is brought to you by Line 1 Nutrition. Since their inception 13 years ago, Line 1 Nutrition has steadily grown into one of the most trusted supplement companies in the world, consistently formulating groundbreaking muscle-building supplements enjoyed throughout the USA and at military bases around the world. Excellent customer service is a staple of Line 1 Nutrition and is a big reason they've maintained a dedicated customer base with clients who reorder time and again. Line 1 Nutrition's products aren't the garden variety proteins and pre-workouts found on the shelf. They've spent years developing a line custom engineered to exceed normal standards and meet every need, from mind-blowing pre-workouts to incredible joint support with CBD and even green energy Malaysian kratom, which provides fantastic stress-reducing, anti-inflammatory properties that benefit athletes of any kind. But where Line 1 has really made their mark is with their lean muscle-building supplements. No other company can match Line 1's unique, potent, proven effective muscle builders. The bottom line is, if you're serious about taking your physique to the next level, visit www.line1nutrition.com today and use code AFC15 to save 15% off your entire order.
I'll definitely I'll give you his information, or I'll reach out to him. And then if I know you're kind of on a tight schedule today, but if people are trying to get involved or even just support MVP, where would the best way to find all that?
The website is vetsandplayers.org, and we're on social media as well. I believe Twitter is at Vets and Players. Instagram is at Merging Vets and Players. But yeah, I think that's the best way. Just kind of follow us, get connected. If you know a combat vet or a former professional athlete, get them dialed in with MVP. We'd love to help them out. I mean, we and even if we're not in your city right now, our chapters are in LA, Las Vegas, Chicago, Atlanta, New York, Seattle, Dallas, Phoenix. But we have Zoom options as well, twice a week.
Oh, cool.
So there's ways to connect with us and and be a part of MVP, even if we're not in your city yet. So I think that's the best way.
No, that's great. And then if they're trying to find you, it's
at Nate Boyer 37.
Nice.
37 was my college number.
Yep. Yeah. It's I saw the jersey Saturday.
That's right. Yeah. My good friend MJ McFarland, who I played in college with. He's a tight end. He played with Dallas and Philadelphia in the NFL.
That's the really big guy?
Yeah.
He was great, man. I hung out with him for a little bit.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
He's now he's my realtor down here.
Oh,
no,
yeah.
He's a good buddy. I'll see him later today, actually.
Yeah. He said he was coaching, doing something at what was it called? It was like athletic or something. He's doing something with them as well. I was gonna talk to him about that too.
He does a lot, man. I know he's got a foundation as well that he's working with, and just a really generous guy, just a good person, nice. Man. And he was the idiot that bought. Well, I should say donated $1,000 for me to sign that jersey and devalue it a little bit more. So,
man, it was crazy the support you were getting, and I was not expecting those bids.
Me. It's not the support I'm getting; it's the support MVP's. Yeah. It really is.
It really, I mean,
people feel the power of the organization. We had a few of our members there in attendance from Dallas and other places.
Well, I definitely felt it. I do get a ton of nonprofits and charities that hit me up that want to work, and I would love to help everyone out, but there's very few, if almost any, that I relate to or that I really can see from my personal experience the benefit of. And just everything from watching that video that we watched and then talking to everybody. And then, when we were out Saturday, which is, by the way, I don't think I've ever I can honestly say that was the first time I've taken a fire truck to a bar.
Dude, hook and ladder ATX.
Yeah.
That's my boy Dan.
Yep.
He bought this fire truck and turned it into a party engine.
Yeah.
So it's amazing. They carts people around and they have a great time and get to see Austin and do some bar hopping. And so look up. That's another thing to look up. Look up Hook and Ladder ATX on Instagram.
Yep.
And next time if you're living in Austin or next time you come to Austin, schedule a ride with him. I think he'll do like 2-hour rides, maybe even longer, and you can kind of go spot to spot. But it's cool. There's a few of those companies in Austin, but this is the most unique one. And I think he's going to do some stuff to work with local fire departments and foundations and stuff like that as well. Yeah. So he's solid. But I was really happy he came out and supported MVP.
Yeah, he was great. That was a ton of fun, and I was so excited to be on that. I actually left my car downtown just to go ride on that thing. So, but no, man, I really appreciate you coming out and everything you've done for me just the past couple weeks, and I look forward to doing more stuff with MVP and you and seeing how we can just grow it, and really trying to take care of everyone. And it got cold in here really quick.
Yeah, it's all good. It's chilly.
I was freezing. So
hotter than what outside. So it's all good.
I know my AC blew out in my apartment. Blasting all the fans on me. So, but
no, it'll be good because I'll be out here a lot more come the fall, especially. Should be opening up our F45 MVP gym at that time.
Where's that going to be at? Up north?
Don't know
south?
exactly yet.
Oh, okay.
Looking downtown and kind of downtown adjacent for now, but from there, I think we will expand all around different parts of Austin, probably up here in Pflugerville and some other places. So we'll figure all that out. But more to follow. We'll keep you dialed in.
And you got a movie coming out too, right?
Thank you.
I forgot about that. Yeah,
I directed my first movie a little over a year ago. That's about the genesis of MVP.
Okay.
And it's not a documentary. It's a narrative feature, and it was cool. Much like I just watched the other night. I watched Hustle. If you haven't seen Hustle on Netflix yet,
I've been wanting to watch it.
It's incredible.
I heard.
And there's so many actual NBA players playing. Characters kind of based off of other people's stories in the movie. Some of them are playing themselves, but some of them are playing, created characters. So in the MVP movie, very similar concept. Every veteran portrayed on screen is played by an actual veteran. And the athletes like Tony Gonzalez and Randy Couture, Jay Glazer, Michael Strahan and Howie Long have a cameo. These guys all play themselves in the movie. And it's about how MVP started. And it was a Marine who was living in a homeless shelter in East Hollywood on Sunset, and he meets a former NFL player, first year out of the league, and they're going through the same struggles. On paper they got nothing in common, different socioeconomic class, different skin color, different backgrounds, obviously with sports and the military, but they're the same, and they kind of help each other through those struggles.
Yeah. It's I'll definitely have to watch that. I heard a lot of good things about Hustle. I love those kind of movies too that utilize those guys in their personas to really get a message out there.
Definitely.
So
and we'll screen it out here in LA. We'll probably have a theatrical release and hopefully
out here in Austin.
I'm flying back to LA today, so I'm all twisted up. But we'll screen it out here and probably do a limited theatrical release out here as well come September, October timeframe.
I'm there.
And then, we'll be working with the NFL around Salute to Service Month and promoting it and getting it out. But it'll really help with MVP and what we're building.
Cool. Yeah. Well, I hope to get you out here too for the big Fit Fest in September. And
nice.
We got lots of fun projects we'll put together. And I said, man, anything you need, I'm a call away.
That's perfect.
But on that note, Alex, my man, you know what to do. Probably the first time I've never brought Alex in a conversation.
Hey.